Every 10 minutes, another person is added to the organ donation list, and 20 people each day die waiting for a transplant according to organdonor.gov. Each year, more and more people are added to the waiting list, but the number of viable transplants grows slowly. There is a very large gap between the number of people who need a transplant and the number of viable donors. In order to equalize this gap, more people need to sign up. Becoming educated is only a small part of this issue. In order to bring the number of donors to the number of viable transplants, more people have to sign up. Organ donation can help save a life even after their death if they are a suitable candidate. In order to persuade you to become an organ donor, I will first debunk common myths about organ donation, then I will show how there is a growing need for donors, and finally I will show you how simple it is to become a donor. When it comes to organ donation, there are many common misconceptions about the actual process, from not knowing whether you would be a candidate to not fully understanding the whole ordeal. The biggest misconception is that people believe if you're an organ donor, doctors won't fight as hard to save your life. This is not true. Doctors have to do everything in their power to save your life before they could even consider you a candidate, and most of the time you would die in a way that you wouldn't even be considered for a transplant, so you wouldn't have to worry about it in the first place. Another common myth about this process is that people don't become donors because they believe their family will be stuck with the cost, according to organdonor.gov. And this is also not true. Your family would never have to pay for your donation, the surgery costs, because the person that would have to pay would be the person receiving the transplant and the insurance company. The last myth I will discuss is that some people do not sign up because they have a medical condition they believe will not allow them to be donors. And although this could be true, you wouldn't actually have to worry about that because the doctor would run a bunch of tests to figure out if you're a good candidate when the time comes. And if you were worried you have a medical condition that wouldn't allow this, then you could always just look it up on unos.org. When contemplating whether to become a donor or not, it is good to keep the facts and myths separate in order to make a well-educated decision. There are many myths about organ donation with no factual evidence behind them, and you shouldn't let this stop you from becoming a donor because it's not actually factual evidence. The next point I will talk about is the growing need for organ donors. According to UNOS, about 114,000 people need a transplant, and there were only 17,000 transplants performed this last year. With so many people on the list and not enough organ donors, people unfortunately will die. This number includes men, women, and children. According to organdonor.gov, 2,000 people on the list are under the age of 18. The need for donors goes beyond helping adults, but gives children a chance to live a long and a healthy life. When someone becomes an organ donor, they could possibly save up to 8 different lives. One person can donate a heart, 2 lungs, a liver, a pancreas, 2 kidneys, and intestines, according to organdonor.gov. This means if you are selected as an organ donor, when the time comes, you could possibly save 8 different people. This of itself is a reason to consider becoming a donor, because not only would you be helping 8 people, possibly, you could also help children. If you agree that becoming an organ donor is a good thing to do, the next step is signing up. According to organdonor.gov, 95% of adults in the U.S. agree with organ donation, but only 54% are actually registered to be organ donors. Agreeing is not enough. We must register to become an organ donor to actually make a difference. Just agreeing with the topic won't change the fact that there aren't enough donors for the number of people on the waiting list. And this is very easy to change. All you have to do is check the box to become an organ donor the next time you renew your license, and then you're signed up. With signing up being that easy, this should not stop you from becoming a donor. Think about this now in order to save your family from having to make this decision for you. If you think about this issue now and decide to become a donor, when your time comes, your family won't have to worry about that as well. Before I end, remember, organ donors are extremely important in order to help save lives. To keep up with the growing demand for transplants, more people need to do the research to see if becoming a donor is a good fit for them. Use reliable sources like organdonor.gov and unos.org to prevent finding misconceptions. Don't get caught up in the myths. Think about the growing need and how easy it is to sign up. Finally, consider the fact that you could give the gift of life to someone else who needs it. And I hope this persuades you to sign up to be an organ donor.